Father, thank you for this day. Father, thank you for your grace and your mercy. Thank you for the gift of salvation. Father, I lift the city council up tonight as they meet. Father, as they discuss the city's business, I pray that you would give them wisdom as they discharge their duties and make decisions. Father, I pray for the city departments, the city department heads, the city workers. Father, that you would keep them safe in the cold temperatures and in the snows that will come. Father, I pray that your will would be done in all that they do, that you would keep them safe. And Father, I thank you that you have blessed us with the place that we live. Father, let us cherish and keep it. And in your Son's name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. One of the kids are doing a project at school. They're making, have different offices and things of that sort, and one of them was a mayor. He said, "What picture do I draw as a mayor?" And I couldn't think of it. Well, draw a gavel and stuff.
There you go.
So he drew a gavel and stuff, so.
That's fun.
Meeting will call to order. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda for tonight.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, motion has been made and second to approve tonight's agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Minutes from our first meeting on January 6th is found on pages 1 and 2.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as printed.
Second it.
Discussion? Hearing none, motion is made and second to approve the minutes as written. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Public input. I'll just have one. We had the Farm and Home Show this last week, and I really appreciated those who stopped by the booth and talked on Friday, visited on Friday and Saturday. And it's always nice to have, one-on-one or group conversations with those who stop by. Did we have, I was gonna ask you, who won our $10 or $100?
The names are still in the tote.
Okay,
Oh,
all
the
right.
drawing was never done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we'll
right.
just do that tomorrow live on Facebook.
There you go.
that.
Okay, we'll
There
do
we
that.
go.
Okay.
All right, very good. But I do appreciate it. Old business, South Dakota Municipal League Work Comp Safety Grant Equipment, that's found on page 3. When the bill was first submitted, you look at that first item as Workman Rescue Tripod Kit. The original quote was $2,460, and actually it's $3,618.88.
Just
So-
that line.
Just that line. Everything else is on that was accurate. So basically, what it did, it upped the invoice cost at $5,504.12. It was an increase by $579.41
For our portion.
for our portion of
Yep.
it. It was a 50%
Yep.
part.
Great.
So
We've already submitted the revision to SDML Work Comp Fund, and they've accepted it with our application.
Okay,
Good.
So we
so,
just,
so I'd entertain a motion to, pay the invoice cost at $5,504.12.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, motion is made and second to, approve the revised, grant quote, to $5,504.12. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. New business, code ordinance, subdivisions, and refer to ordinance, number 674. We had a committee meeting. Susan has the information in front of you, and Cindy is going to put it on the board. And basically, we're going to look at this tonight, and if you have any input, I think the zoning committee, was zoning committee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, met, and we went through it, and we can just more or less, talk about some of the aspects as far as the revision. And then again, this is not the first reading, it's just more or less going over the information and going from there.
Okay. July 5th of 2016, council passed ordinance number 674. And when the changes were submitted to Municode, they put it in the wrong format, so it made it really hard to understand. And so the way it really should read is that they have an intro, and I'll read that. It's the developer responsibility, section 34-91. The city shall provide at a charge to the developer equal to 10% above the actual cost to the city, the materials and special rented or leased equipment used to assist the developer with the actual improvements. It shall be the responsibility of the developer to provide engineered designs, specifications, and data to be approved by the Common Council. Once installed, all utilities shall become the property and responsibility of the city. Certain required improvements are as follows. Then they had subsections that were connected to the developer responsibility, and it didn't show up that way with the way that they wrote it out. So you would have had staking of boundaries, street grading, those were not changed by the ordinance. But then when we get to like street surfacing, that has, the developer shall submit to the council his plans for connection to the existing streets. The street construction engineering plan shall be by a city-approved engineer at an expense to the city. All such streets and alleys shall be constructed by city employees at the expense of the city. And then the next section, that's still with the developer responsibility, is sanitary sewer. The subdivider shall submit to the council his plans for connection with a trunk line to the existing system. The sewer construction engineering plan shall be by a city-approved engineer at an expense to the city. All costs associated with a lift station will be the responsibility of the developer. All such sanitary sewers shall be constructed by city employees at an expense to the city. Then the next section was water mains. The subdivider shall submit to the council his plans for connection to the existing system. The water construction engineering plans shall be by a city-approved engineer at an expense to the city. All such water mains shall be constructed by city employees at an expense to the city. Then there was storm sewers. The subdivider shall submit to the council his plans for connection to the existing system. The storm sewer construction engineering plan shall be by a city-approved engineer at an expense to the city. All such storm sewers shall be constructed by city employees at an expense to the city. That is the way it reads right now with the ordinance that was passed back in 2016. So, when we were looking at it, at first we were thinking that, it looked like we had to pay, most of the expense, but when you look at it this way, with the 10%, where they have to pay the 10% over, the cost, plus the cost. So, anyway, that's what our committee was talking about. And I don't know if we need to do anything more on that. How does everybody feel if there's, because what we've got, some of this is gonna be at the expense of the city.
According to the way I read it, most of the expenses to the city.
Yeah. And we didn't feel like it should be all at the expense of the city. So, where we go from here now?
I should have kept my notes in front of me when we're reading through this. Another thing too, and help me if I'm, correct me, Cindy, if I'm wrong, I'm thinking we changed that last sentence too, with regard to, thank you. Each one of these, as far as the last sentence in each one of them, with regard to the sewers. And in this provision, it indicates this shall be constructed by the city. Well, there's some things that the city may not be able to do, okay, because of things and stuff. So that last sentence on 401-4, 4015, and 4016, the last sentence in each one of them, all such, in this, the first one, sanitary sewer shall be constructed by the city or a contractor, approved contractor. That'd be a city-approved contractor. And the same thing, the last sentence, as far as the water mains, constructed by the city or city-approved contractor. And the last sentence for storm sewer, the same thing, constructed by the city or a city-approved contractor.
Yeah.
And I think it does allow us to, because some of the equipment, may require certain equipment the city doesn't have. And
Yeah.
stuff, so, and I think those were, yeah.
Did we figure out of what's been happening in practice with some of these developments that have been going, how it's been billed? Not including the one since this,
I have not looked back.
and that's the biggest thing, is we just don't know how it's been used in practice, because we haven't had that many developments. Obviously, we paid for a portion of a single house that got added last year. We just gotta make the decision on how we wanna move forward. If you leave a certain portion to the city, then that's going to help with growth,
Yeah.
but then it also just costs money.
I think, and I'll piggyback off that, I agree with help with growth, but I also feel that there should be some plan in place where that growth is going to happen in what is
At the approval of the
of
city.
approved, yeah, at a, not a snail pace, but it's
Right.
something that's going to take place in rather, I'm not going to say it's expedient manner, but it's, a plan in place that it's going to get done in the, in a shorter period of time.
I realize this is extreme comparison, but I mean, according to the way it's written now, a developer could buy a plot of land on the edge of city, and if it's zoned residential, can put up 400 houses, and the city has to come up with the money to do all the utilities, water and such, and street to all those houses. So I mean, I think there needs to be something in there at least of piggybacking back on you of saying timeline and projects are at the approval of the city's budget. Because right now it's just completely open to, we have to do it regardless of what the plans are. If it's zoned residential, which I understand that we have a little bit of authority of not zoning something residential if we don't want to, to kind of halt it, but I mean, that's the only thing that could prevent, well, essentially the city going bankrupt legally on what we have to provide. I realize it's an extreme comparison, but you kind of have to go that way.
Well, and you
Yeah.
could have several developers too, at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, and also like, what happens if somebody's got all his, it's all platted out and everything, and he says, well, I'm going to be building, so he wants the infrastructure in place before he starts building in there. Then you could end up having to put the infrastructure in place and no houses,
And then you
Yeah.
have no return on your money.
no return, yep. You know, there's that possibility too, so I mean, you've gotta have it so that,
Almost in your timeline
There-
in there.
yeah.
That's, yeah.
There needs to be something that makes it so that they're going to have to do something too, you know, otherwise, we can't just put out money up to
Yeah.
build infrastructure for something we're not guaranteed is gonna be existing there.
Well, and the city also had a completely different budget in 2016 than we have today in 2025.
That's true.
We have a lot of projects we're already paying for that
And
need to
will
get
be
paid
for quite
and
some time.
will be.
Yep,
So I mean, I understand that when this was wrote up, that it was, town growth was a huge thing. And I'm not taking away the fact that we need housing in Miller. But we have to be pretty smart with how we're shelling out money.
right.
So, my feelings is that it needs to, I don't know what the rules are on, obviously we need to have two writings of it, but I mean, we're going from, we're paying for developments to, we need to pump the brakes on how this is wrote.
Well, and I think doing it that way in a time frame in which it's done, but I think it also makes it more clear. I mean, because you know, you want to read something and understand what it's saying rather than, well, does it say this or does it say this? You know, so,
And I would really like some verbiage put in there of new construction developments. And because there's nothing in there of saying, cause like the resurfacing and stuff like that, in the past of how I read it, is, to me, surfacing is after a road's already there. You know, like, so stuff like that of, instead of, I wanna get some new construction of roads, new, construction or new installation of utilities where they were not present before. And stuff like that, or new construction where utilities were never at, you know, just, I would like some clarification of what we're talking about of these lots that have not been developed at all that we're talking about, just to get some clarification on the ordinance. And maybe we could write something in there that, I don't know what everybody's opinion is, how much the city should be responsible for, but I'm just
Yeah.
brainstorming here on this. All new projects or new development projects need to be planned with the city and approved by the city
Well, as I say,
before construction begins.
I think we talked too about using the city engineer, has to be
Yeah.
approved by a city engineer, not just,
Approved by the city engineer.
yeah.
Right,
Right.
you know, and just some clarification on that.
Yeah.
So, I guess I don't know what everybody else's opinion and there's a part of me that says the city should help with development of the town. And then there's a city councilman part of me that, knowing what we're already spending money on, that wants to tighten the belt up on the spending too. So I mean, that's where we're at now, so I don't know what the good compromise is of those two things. So I'll leave the floor to anybody else.
well, I like the idea as far as new development, you know, with regard to that. Now, that new development might mean a portion of a area that has no existing homes on it as of yet. I mean, that's what. Okay. Right?
I would like to have a first reading at the next meeting.
Okay,
To do that, I don't want to be the one single person writing up this ordinance with all the thoughts going around at the meetings we've had.
right. Okay,
Forgive me, but I just don't think I have quite the expertise to bring it all together.
okay,
Yep.
I would like some help.
okay.
Sure.
So, any one of you that wants to come to my office and we'll iron this out with each other's notes that we have
Sure.
and get something
I can-
preliminary.
I can help, but
Yeah.
I'd like more opinions than just mine
Yeah.
to come forward before I say I'm gonna help, because I don't
Yeah.
wanna be the one that
Mhm.
is accused of drafting the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right, and I understand that.
And I come up in the afternoons anyway, so,
Yeah, I could come up.
Yeah.
and-
Before that happens, I would like to hear everybody else's, because I wasn't part of the committee or
Right.
on that, so I'd just like to hear everybody else's opinion on where they stand,
Well, I
what
know
the ordinance should be.
we were taking out a lot of the expense to the city when we were doing it.
By the time it's all said and done, none of the expense was on the city,
Yeah.
except
Right.
for maybe labor
Yeah,
by
Yeah.
city employees.
yeah,
If it was hired done because we didn't have the equipment to do it, then you just pass the bill on dollar for dollar to the developer.
Yep.
yep,
As far as the materials and everything that goes, the city purchases it knowing that we're purchasing the proper quality and the
right,
proper material, and then we turn around and charge the developer for 10% above our cost.
yeah,
I think those things still need to be in there in such a way that it
That's
is
what-
understood.
That's what we
Right.
discussed too,
Yes.
so someone doesn't buy some inferior pipe or something and then,
Yeah.
you know,
Have to go
years
back and
down the
fix
road,
it.
you're
Then
digging
we're-
it up and,
we're stuck with having to repair.
And
yeah.
then as far as the engineering goes, yeah, the city engineer should sign off on it. At the city's expense, I suppose.
Well, and you're gonna need the engineer involved, just because, like, for a lift station or something like that, they're gonna wanna know what's going on at this development, because maybe we need to add a lift station to take care of it, you know? So, the city engineer's already got all that information, and if you're adding anything more to it, then they'll know what we need. You know, if it's not gonna work,
But I don't think the
We don't
city
wanna do it
engineer
that
should have
way.
to engineer the whole development
No.
either
No.
at city's cost.
yeah, no. No, I don't think it should be at the city's cost, not, especially when you go to a lift station. Because the
I
lift
think
station,
basically what we're trying to get at there is if that developer has an engineer that comes up with some plans, we want the city engineer to look them over there. Hey,
Yep.
Sign off on
is
it.
this what we want, or, you know, does it meet your approval?
yeah.
okay?
And it may benefit the developer if he'd use our city engineer, because they've already got our plans. You know, so they would know how to add on to it.
I feel like there needs to be some sort of a written, I don't know if it's a contract or what, but before we start doing any,
That lines out timelines and all that.
Right,
yeah.
There is a section, Article 2, procedure, preliminary procedures. Proposed name, date, scale, map. Yes, location of the lines, location, existing streets, zoning, classification, written and signed statements, explaining So somewhere in here, we could say, so there's provisions A through H, I provide a timeline of construction.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of construction projects where they do concrete work and then all of a sudden it's 3 years later and there's no structure up yet, and
yeah,
we don't want that.
And obviously, the council can grant extensions, just like with
Yeah.
any project.
Yep.
Because we
Yep.
don't know what weather brings or
Yep.
the economy or whatever,
right.
just so long as it doesn't come to a halt.
Well, that's, yeah.
Well, probably what we could do then is probably get together, with Cindy, and then make some changes on this, and if it's something we want to let the council know, we could maybe email them out or something, and then you could see the changes.
Let everybody know then.
Yeah, do a draft of it and send it out to everyone, and then they can see if they need more changes than that.
I feel like we're teetering on the open meetings laws there.
Are we? Okay.
By talking about it outside of
Yeah.
public
Oh, sure, yeah.
open
So,
meeting.
Do a committee meeting, like write it up, committee meeting, look at it, and then hammer out the fine details or any tweaks we need, and then
well, if
Bring it to
Patrick
the
was gonna
city.
be involved. we're
I don't
gonna
have to be.
have-
I'm not saying I have to be.
Hmm?
I'm not saying I have to be, I just offered.
Yeah,
He just really wants to see that new construction
right,
and
terminology used within the new ordinance.
correct, yeah.
And I've vocalized that too, so if it's the committee, they know that I vocalized that, so it's
Sure.
not a big deal.
Okay,
If
I
it's
got it
just the
wrote down
committee.
too, so. So I guess
So
we'll
is there a
meet with
date
you
and
and,
time you wanna come into the office and get that done before the first meeting in February?
yeah, that's right. And it, what, is it right away at the very beginning of February? Let's see,
The third, probably.
Yeah.
that's pretty quick, right around the
Be on
corner.
third.
Okay, well,
You
this
look at
week or
that.
next week sometime,
I'll have to look at my work calendar, I don't have it in front of me,
okay.
but we'll line up a time.
Why don't you give us some days?
Okay, I'll
and
text you in the
then
morning.
Our committee can meet up with you
yep,
and we get
Sounds
that
good.
done.
Okay.
We
Very
kinda
good.
got an idea from everybody what we need to do, so,
yeah.
okay.
Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Will.
You
Patrick.
too, thank you.
Stay warm.
Yes, sir. Y'all do the same.
Thank you.
Okay,
All right. Okay.
all right.
Going on to new business, Phase 4 water storage improvements. We have McGuire Iron Pay App number 1 on pages 4 and 5. Four is actually the amount due, which is $45,125.
Well, I move to pay the McGuire bill for $45,125.
Second,
Discussion. Hearing none, motion is to pay the invoice to McGuire Iron, pay app number 1 for $45,125. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Certificate of substantial completion. That is found on pages 6 and 7. And basically, this is by McGuire Iron.
Camden sent it in an email, and with the email, he mentioned that the substantial completion was 5 days late. $500 per day is $2,500 for the penalty. He thought maybe it would be nice not to assess this penalty, but we still have the right to. And he thought maybe McGuire could offer or provide some type of service instead of paying the penalty. And I talked to Terry about it, and he's on board with that.
Okay,
Make a motion to sign the certificate of substantial completion without a penalty.
second.
Second. Discussion. Hearing none, motion is made and seconded to sign the certification of substantial completion without penalty. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. 2002 year-end physicals, that's on pages 8 through 16. No action is needed, just more or less the information is out there.
So I sent this to the finance committee ahead of time, just in case there were any specific questions that we could be prepared for. I received no specific questions in regards to these end-of-year reports. Let's just take a quick glance at it then. On page 8, the revenues for taxes came in at $1,502,282.77, which is $64,000 short of budget. Overall, our general fund revenues came in at $1,788,672.78. And the original budget was $1,811,350, which made us shy about 22,000 overall, 22,677. However, our expenses are, each departmental budget came in under budget, so we kept everything in the black departmental wise. Total expenses were $1,491,762, which left $516,957 unspent. I would like to note that within that, in that street department line, or no, it was the ballpark line, we had budgeted $255,500 for that storm shelter. That ended up not getting done. So a big chunk of that 516 is due to that not getting done. Moving on to the 211 fund for your miscellaneous revenues for the pool. On page 9, you'll see that we came in $159 loss. That's because we expended the full $10,000 budget for the pool heaters. And we didn't bring in as much BBB as we thought we would. So we were just a little short there. We might get dinged on that, but it's very unsubstantial since it's $160. But I just wanted to point that out, why that was negative. Let's see, the 501 fund, which is your other sources, airport, pool, capital improvement total. This is for when we do our capital improvement projects. When we start on the pool, that you'll see those figures here. Right now, it's just airport figures, and this was for the designing of what we're gonna be doing in 2025 for the project out there. The 531001 loss that you see isn't actually a loss. That's just our portion of the funding. So when we put out to get that grant for the airport project coming up, the 70,000 that we had budgeted, we ended up only expending 57,772, bringing in 52,462 for a difference of what was our portion, that 5%. So the state pays 5%, we pay 5%, and the rest is federally funded. If that makes any sense? Okay. Moving on to water, again, that water loss, we are at a $100,000 loss. I'm gonna chalk it up to water loss because, and we don't have it metered. It would be nice to see just how much that is, but I'm pretty sure that's the biggest chunk of that. Once this project is done, we can get a true idea of what our water loss is today. It should be pretty low, given that everything is pretty much new.
Right.
So I'm gonna hold off on reacting to that figure right away. As far as our rates, I think they're good where they're at. We did the rate study with SDARWS. They think that a 2% increase each year will be sufficient, and then we'll re-look at that at about year 4 or 5. The electric came in about 40,000 ahead. Again, no projects going on there. We didn't do the transmission line project because the poles all tested pretty good. Moving on to sewer. Looking at that 192,000 profit. We got some grant money this year that should have been received last year. So that's throwing that off just a little bit. Because we paid the expenses last year. Well, the expenses aren't here to offset that revenue this year. When we get our annual report done, Emily will make the appropriate adjusting entries to make all that balance. get a truer picture of what our O and M is. Otherwise, yeah, the surcharges are all bringing in what they need to bring in. And if there are any questions, I will attempt to answer them.
When you say, you said that for the water, about a 2% increase annually, is that what you said?
Yes, yep, that's what they suggested.
And I,
I'm really gonna dive into, our long-term planning though, too.
yeah,
Cause we might have these projects done, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's like, oh, we can breathe. No, we can't. We now need to plan for future.
yeah. And I think that's why we're somewhat in the situation that we are right now, because, it wasn't planned for as it should have been. And it's easy not to, because some of the things that we're planning for is underground, and you really don't know the situation
Yeah.
until it gets to a point in time where it did, where then it need to be replaced. With that 2%, I also would like to add, sometimes that is to incur the expense to us with regard to.
Operating and maintenance, or operation and management of just our day-to-day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. On item number 4, coin CD mature, 125 of this year. The direction on the maturing fund, Cindy and I were visiting with that, and we talked about what the 7th-month rate is at, 4.4%, is that right? What is this?
It ranges
Yeah.
from 4.11% to 4.4%.
Okay.
It kind of depends on how long you want to lock that money in.
How long do
I've
you
heard
wanna-
some people say that interest rates will probably be going up, so maybe a 7-month would be a better idea, so that when those interest rates do go up, we can take advantage of it at that time.
Right.
The other thing to consider is we don't have an electric project going on right now, and it is my suggestion that we just roll that into the 7-month with coin.
Looks good.
And as far as the general fund of dollars, depending on what expenses you're foreseeing coming up in regard to that, as far as capital projects or other expenses, we might want that to be a little more liquid. Let me look at what other ones we have sitting out here. And we do have the American Bank and Trust CDs coming up in February. So this 520,000 that we have sitting in a CD at American Bank and Trust, that'll that'll mature soon as well.
Okay.
So we could put these all in the 7-month and wouldn't be a problem.
I think that sounds good.
Is this all the electric fund?
The electric fund is the 428,576. That is that CD. So are you looking at the 475,805?
I was just looking at in general.
Oh.
Does the electric fund have some in the SD fit as well?
Yes,
Okay,
yep. They do.
and that stuff is liquid, right?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yep, it is.
And how much of
I
is
think
in
that's
SD?
up to 500 and, when was the last time? I don't want to overstate it and I don't want to understate it. I'm gonna say it's like at 520,000 right now. And that will come up again for reinvesting in March.
But we can pull whenever.
Yes. And approximately the same amount is for general fund over there. But that's kind of been earmarked for the pool.
Right, that was committed already.
Yep. So there's 482,000 for general fund dollars.
We could
That's
just,
more of like your building, like we in the capital improvement plan that we adopted, we were gonna make some improvements to this building. That's general fund.
Okay.
Cop car, street department improvements, anything we might have to use from savings for, like what we had saved for the storm shelter. Those are some of the things that we kind of need to think about this money being used for.
Well,
At
if
the
we put it
same
in,
time, we don't want to like deplete all of it because
Well,
it's
no.
taken a long time to
if
build
we
it up
throw
to
it in
where
for
it's
7
at.
months, we got access to it in August.
Right. Yep. And it's all in this budget year, so.
Yeah, and
See
we,
what happens.
and we got the fit money that we can work with.
Yeah.
Yep.
So do you need a motion on these, the 101, the 211, and the
would-
603, just roll them over for 7 months at coin?
Yeah, I would appreciate that.
I'd make that motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Hearing none, motion is made and second to roll over the coin CDs for a 7-month period. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Number 5, the code enforcer specialist agreement renewal, those are on 18 and 19. It's pretty much what it has been in the past, there's no changes on that.
Right.
Make a motion that we go and do renewal of our code enforcement.
Second.
Discussion? I'll just point some things out, you know, I think this last year, you know, I think he's done a good job. We've had some, you know, property that need to be taken care of that were, and
And he's not done.
and he's not done, no, and I just encourage everyone to, you know, to be, you know, mindful of staying within, you know, contents of it, what's acceptable, and, you know, your neighbors and things of that sort. So, having said that, motion's been made and second to renew the agreement with the code enforcement specialist. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 6 is KBA annual report. And that's basically, there's no invoice on it. It's at a rate basis, you know, with regard to the audit. So in 2024, it was $1,750. So, and so I just entertain a motion to renew the, or would you-
To improve the engagement letter for the annual report.
Yeah.
So move.
Second?
Discussion? Okay, a motion is made and second to renew the engagement with KBA. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay, item number 7, surplus property to the Miller Fire Department. And basically, all it is us, one entity of the city giving equipment and those sound off signal, siren speaker, LED, light bar, control panel, and module. So it's just, I'll finish my statement, just one entity within the city donating that surplus property to the Miller Fire Department.
We need action on that.
Yes.
I'll move that we surplus the police department equipment over to the Miller Fire Department.
I'll second.
Discussion? Hearing none, motion is made to surplus property to the Miller Fire Department. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Next item on here is Burbach Aquatics. As many know that, well, some know, and I think the reason this is getting, resurrecting, the city has set aside some money, and we're awaiting a very generous donation by one of our patrons of our community and coming in, so we just want to move forward. You know, for just more or less input, none of us at this table has had personal contact with Burbach. So And that's not, neither here nor there, so we just wanna kinda know where we stand with them. I just talked to, again, today I have a list of people I've been in contact with, but Christy Honeywell is a Pierce City Administrator. I visited with her today. And just more or less get some, kind of heads up, moving forward with, with regard to some things to just more or less be aware of and stuff. So I know we have a design in hand, but since that design and the number of years that have lapsed, I'm sure the, whether or not the design is gonna be stayed with or, and then also the cost. As you know, Mike Monker was here the other day and gave some options, either giving to the Miller Hospital Fund, no, what foundation?
What, wellness and.
Wellness, yeah,
Yeah.
the
Hammond
Wellness
County
Foundation.
Health and Wellness Foundation.
Health and Wellness, and then also the city of Miller for any donation. So, and I believe we're under a contractual obligation to Burbach, so. Anyway, so that's kind of where we are with regard to that.
Okay.
That being said, out of the committee, we talked about whether we wanted to continue on with Burbach or pay out of it and move on. We were gonna talk about this meeting, so then we could open up the public to come and have a discussion about what they thought. I'm on the opinion that I go back and forth, but between getting legal letters coming from them and all that, tonight, I'm on the opinion of, I'd like to reach out to Burbach and talk to them. The
Yeah.
pool, or the utilities committee, whatever committee just met on it. And maybe it's just a lot of, we're talking amongst ourselves and they're talking and then we're just not talking in the middle.
Well, and then even in fairness, Terry wasn't even on the initial, I think, discussion with regard to it, so, and I think, what Patrick indicated, just more or less, see where we are and things of that sort, so. I
Cause it would cost a lot of money. I realize no one's here, but they're watching, but, it'd cost a lot of money to buy out of the contract to go with someone that we pick.
Yeah.
And it's also money that could be going to other things in town, so maybe we just have no confidence because we've never met with Burbach.
Yeah.
So Tom's been in contact with people that have worked with Burbach and their hardships, unless you have heard anything else, the last report was their hardships have nothing to do with Burbach's, Burbach Aquatics.
No. And like I said, I've reached out to a number of communities, and I think you indicated that there was a community under.
I saw one in the South Dakota Municipal League newsletter that Clark was either had been or undergoing a new pool project with Burbach
Okay.
Aquatics.
All right. I would really entertain, what we could do is have a time frame where that committee, what committee were you looking at?
I believe that was utilities, where it's me, you, and Will, correct? Yep, so
Yeah,
I think we've done enough meetings about this. I think my personal feeling is we're to the step that one meeting with them might change our minds to the point where we just start fresh with this committee, because like you said, no one has been in talk with them at all from this council. It might be a way that to reignite the confidence with them as engineers, where we don't feel obligated to buy out of a contract that we were forced into.
yeah. When used the word confidence, I don't wanna misconstrue that, is just more or less, not that we've found anything to lack confidence, it's just the fact that just not knowing, especially with the monetary value of this project, that we wanna make sure that we're doing our due diligence on this end as we move forward and stuff, so, okay?
So,
So-
I'd like to, once Will gets back from, where he's available, I'd like to, I don't know if we have a contact person that we can reach out to and say, hey, if you have someone in the area or a Zoom meeting with them and just maybe start fresh and at least have that meeting before we make any decision one way or the other.
Okay. I'll entertain that as a motion to kind of reach out and open up communications with Burbach once again. I mean,
Yeah, I'll
it's gonna be the
second.
first time for us and stuff, so.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Second, discussion. Hearing none, motions have been made and second to be in contact and maybe set up a meeting with our committee and Burbach Aquatics. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Memorandum, destruction, that's on page 20. And basically what this is following a particular time frame, and it's in 2019 and 2020, that these items can be disposed of.
Yep, there's nothing new on this report as opposed to last year or the year before that. It's just allowing us to destroy old records that we don't need to be storing anymore. Make space for new ones.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, motion is made for memorandum of destruction of documents from the 2019, 2020. Basically payroll, accounts payable, receipt management, utility billing, and miscellaneous. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. On item number 10, we need to keep a file, it deals with the 2025 fire department roster. And we needed, for insurance purposes, we need to keep an updated member roster. And on page 21, it was a roster that was submitted to us. And we'll just make a note, if any additions to this roster during the course of a year or after tonight become aware of any new members, that it's up to the department, the fire department, to provide an updated roster to the city. So what we're doing tonight is we will approve this roster and any additions to the roster once they've been, those members have been submitted to the city.
And the main reasoning for approving it is it's the intent of the city to cover these volunteers under our work comp insurance for work comp purposes.
Okay.
That's
One-
basically what you're approving tonight.
One amendment to this is the 40th member was voted on last night, and Katie Birch was added on.
Yep.
On a probationary status.
And I do have that updated roster in my hand,
Okay.
so that'll be on file in the finance office.
So you already have some members added to the list that we have before us?
One more, yep.
One more, okay.
So we are allowed to cover 40, up to 40, no more than 40. So they
Okay.
usually have 40 on the roster in my office.
Okay. And what was his first name again?
Katie
Caitlin
Birch.
Birch.
Oh, okay. Nice. Okay.
Okay. All right, with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the 2025 fire department roster for insurance purposes.
I'll make a motion to approve the Miller Fire Department 2025 roster for insurance.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, motion is made and seconded to approve the fire department roster for the 2025. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Abstain?
Okay, Patrick abstained. Let the record indicate that Patrick did abstain as a member on that list, okay? Number 11, special event liquor. We have Willie's Bar and Grill, Miller Community Center on 129 of 25 and 212 of 25. And Turtle Creek Saloon at Miller Community Center on 21425. They've done all the paperwork and everybody signed off on it? Okay,
Make a motion to grant special event liquor licenses for the dates listed on the agenda.
Second.
discussion? Hearing none, motion has been made and second to approve the special event liquor licenses for the date specified and for the Willie's Bar and Grill and Turtle Creek Saloon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Approving the bills.
Move we approve the bills.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, motion has been made and second to approve the bills. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Some correspondence just on Miller CNC newsletter on page 22 and DANR notice of general air quality operations permit for the grain elevator in South Dakota. That's on 23 and 25, so.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, motion is made and second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. I might just contact Joe and just see if we can visit with him tomorrow.